Normally, when you see Gracie breakdown, you think of, oh, what was the last UFC? Let me go see the details of what happened in that fight. This is not the case. This Gracie breakdown is more important than any UFC will ever be. On Friday, August 21st, 3 days ago, chaos ensued on a train from Amsterdam to Paris. There were 3 US military members on a train car when a man came out of the lavatory and essentially attempted and planned to wreak havoc. AK-47, and based on everyone's assumption, was going to carry out a tremendous assault and possibly kill hundreds of people. He had 9 rounds of magazine. He had a pistol, he had a box cutter or a knife, and there were over 500 people on the train when this happened. Okay, most of you have heard about the incident and seen the tons and tons of reports and interviews and articles that have been released on the incident. And based on what we've gathered, based on everything we've read about the situation and everything we've watched and all the interviews with the individuals who were on the train when this happened, we want to attempt to reenact what happened on the train so that we can learn from it. Because there were, for us, 3 extremely valuable lessons that we took from this, and maybe once you guys see the situation reenacted, you will be able to take some valuable information yourselves. Now, one very noteworthy detail is that, well, besides the fact that the 3 individuals who were on the train, Spencer Stone, Alek Skarlatos, and Anthony Sadler, 3 American men who were in Europe on vacation, on leave, 2 National Guard and 1 US Air Force member, and these guys were on vacation when this situation went down, and they were able to take care of business. Now, notable detail, Spencer is a jiu-jitsu student who trains at an affiliate of the Gracie family, of our family, in Portugal. Okay, Gracie Lisboa. And when we found that out, we said, man, if this situation wasn't breakdown worthy already, it certainly is now. And not to mention the fact that he used the rear naked choke in the situation, and so much to take, so much to learn, but we couldn't be more proud that these guys did what they did, and we couldn't, this is amazing. Truly, truly heroic accomplishment for these 3 men and another British man who was on the train and jumped in as well.
And the first man who encountered the terrorist right outside the bathroom.
Currently an unidentified Frenchman was the first one to engage the terrorist when he came out with the AK and draw attention, forcing the terrorist to fire a couple rounds, at which point the other men were, spurred into action. So, here we go. So we're sitting down. From what we gather, it's Spencer sitting down next to his friend Alek, and they're hanging out. We'll pretend like we're sitting down right here. We have our terrorist over here. Okay, obviously, he wasn't wearing a Gracie t-shirt, but our friend Eric right here was kind enough to join us for this demonstration and come in here and make it happen. So anyways, we're sitting down. The terrorist comes out of the compartment between the trains, or the lavatory area, with the AK-47. Okay, 9 rounds of magazine, I guess, were on him. Unknown at this point, he has weapons in his pockets, knives, guns, and things like that. He comes out. A man over here supposedly threw himself at this terrorist and kind of drew the situation because he was passing by at the same moment. He shot a couple rounds. We don't know exactly the injuries that resulted from that, but I think someone did get shot. And at that point, over here, Alek and Spencer are sitting down. Spencer's asleep. Alek says, yo, let's go.
Wake up.
He sees a guy with a gun, and all he says is, let's go. And at that point, Spencer, without hesitation,
this was the point where they looked up and they saw that the gun was jammed.
Yes.
He was fixing, clearing something.
Yeah, I don't know if he saw that before he initiated the run, but I know that he ran and that was happening.
Perfect timing. The gun was jammed and he charged.
The AK-47 was jammed. So he's working it, and Spencer, boom, his hands on, and right away, Alek is literally 2 steps behind him and is on the gun, fighting for the AK-47 here. The tussle ensues. Spencer locks in a rear naked choke. Squeeze, he lets go. Boom, he's hitting him. At this point, he pulls out a pistol. More people are jumping in. This is where Anthony's coming in and Chris Norman, the British man, come in, and they're just grabbing and hitting him.
They're using the weapon, whatever it takes.
Whatever they take. They're taking it, they're hitting him. The choke is going on. And then he pulls out a box cutter out of his pocket and begins stabbing, reaching back. And this is where Spencer's thumb is severed and nearly detached. Also cut his neck in the process. So at this point, they push him, boom, they start hitting him, boom, boom. Someone else is on the AK. They're hitting him with the weapon. They're actually pistol hitting him, muzzle blasting with the AK, and they're just jamming him.
So if he wasn't unconscious from the rear naked choke, he's probably getting knocked out just from being hit right now.
At this point, he reapplies. This is when Spencer said he reapplied the choke. Sit up. So he sits up, he locks it in, boom, he catches it, he goes out. He goes out. I'm sure he held a little extra to make sure he had time to tie him up. Boom. So then he's unconscious, face down, and at this point they tie him up. Now, they were able to use ropes and, you know, look like seat belts or whatever these red straps were that they have. But if you're like us and you travel with handcuffs and a police hobble, then you can go that route. So from here, boom, pinky to pinky, lock it up, pinky to pinky, lock it up, boom. He's unconscious throughout this process. So they hobbled him. These ones were sent to us by our friends at, let me see this real quick.
Policehobbles.com.
Policehobbles.com. You guys, this is a but this is what they did. They didn't have one of these, obviously. Wrap this around a couple times, put it through the ankles. Boom. Look, it goes under, over, comes back, and then from here, clips on. Super strong, some situations. And then from here, go ahead and sit up, Eric. Awake, bad guy. Get up, bro. He's done. They hobbled him without a hobble, but this makes life much easier. Anyways, so, man, you guys. Eric, you can go sit over there, bro.
Seriously, you guys gonna untie me though?
So what do we learn from this situation? Oh my gosh, so much. Number 1, don't negotiate with terrorists. Number 2, manage the distance, manage the damage. Number 3, lead the way. When we talk about negotiating with terrorists, something we hear about all the time, right? From a political standpoint,
America.
US, yeah, policy, foreign policy, we don't negotiate with terrorists. But I think a lot of people don't understand, truly, in a situation like, let's say the guy came out with a weapon, or someone enters in a situation to essentially carry out terror, and they say, okay, nobody moves, nobody gets hurt, and they basically draw a weapon on a train, or another confined space, or an airplane. Nobody moves, nobody gets hurt.
This person obviously has bad intentions.
Right.
And if you don't move,
right,
they're going to carry out their bad intentions.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. Negotiation assumes integrity on behalf of the other party. And that's the problem. If they had integrity, would they be on a train with an AK-47 to begin with? Now, this person did not try to negotiate. He came out with a gun, they rushed him. I guess our point is, there is no negotiation. When someone comes on a train with an AK-47, it's obvious that they intend to kill people.
So you don't have to.
It's not like, hey, put the gun down. Yeah, there's no talking, there's no discussion, there's no negotiating.
And the first gentleman who threw himself on the man, like, it's not like he was wearing a police uniform.
Right.
This is just somebody wearing normal clothes, probably holding an AK-47. So the fact that he just jumped on him means that he felt in that moment that something wasn't right.
Right.
And he wanted to draw attention to the weapon and the terrorist.
Unbelievable. Now, what's interesting is that it's important in a situation like this. Everyone's very happy. Everyone's proud of these heroes who threw themselves at this threat scenario and neutralized and saved, you know, potentially hundreds of lives. It's important to kind of counter that with the idea that if someone brings a handgun into a situation and is, you know, trying to rob a bank or rob a liquor store, you know, where clearly what they want is money from a situation. Or get off your bike, I want your bike. You know, they're trying to take a physical object, and it's been clearly defined as the primary objective is to steal some object or physical possession.
Give it to them.
You have to give it to them. There's a big difference between that and what was demonstrated on the train here. Because there have been many members of the Gracie family, you know, we grew up in America, but of our family members who grew up in Brazil, we've heard countless reports of people saying, yeah, you know, not only friends, but actual Gracie family members who are sitting down in traffic and someone comes up, a teenager, 14, 15-year-old kid will come up with a gun and say, hey, get out of the car. Get robbed at gunpoint, and they steal the car from black belt, master, champion Gracie family members, and the guys say, okay, no problem, take the car, kid, let him go. Why is that?
Because they're smart.
Right.
They're smart Gracies, and they realize that it's only a car, and they know that the kid only truly wants the car, or even like the watch, even the wallet. Just hand me your cell phone and your wallet, and they just run off. Those things have zero value compared to your life.
Right. So when you think about, you know, intervening and really not negotiating and taking action in a life-threatening situation, you have to assess, what does he want? If he wants to take lives, there's no negotiation and there's no hesitation. But if they want to take a physical possession, you say, hey man, no problem, because here's why. If someone is stupid enough to rob you at gunpoint at an intersection with a lot of people, they're also stupid enough to probably pull the trigger in the heat of the moment. And all they wanted was your car. And then they end up killing you when that wasn't even the original intention. So it's just kind of a little bit of a counterbalance kind of situation here. Now, if you know people are going to die, including you in a train car that is, you know, 10 feet wide and 40 feet, 50 feet long, you're all going to die. Guess what? You die fighting. You go for it. And like we said, there's no negotiation because negotiation assumes integrity on the other person's behalf. And if they had integrity, would they be on the train with an AK to begin with and several other weapons?
Of course, unless you're negotiating falsely, just to strategize you're attacked.
Yes.
Then like somewhat of a false surrender.
Right, and the thing is this:
we'll do whatever you want.
Yeah, nobody move, nobody gets hurt.
Fine.
You know, I'm sure. Yeah, they try to smoke screen what they're really trying to do to kill everybody to disguise that, and then you have to ultimately follow your gut, and you think, wait a minute, this guy right here clearly is after people's lives. There's no objective, there's no reason, there's no money for him to. He's here for this.
And if the rifle is pointing at my chest on an airplane, I'm gonna say, great, I'll do whatever you want. I'll lay down. The moment he turns his back, though, something's gonna happen.
Right, to strategize. So, number 2, manage the distance, manage the damage. Jiu-Jitsu principle of survival, number 1. The most important damage control element of Jiu-Jitsu is this. You're either all the way in or you're all the way out. In other words, against a striker, right? Someone who wants to knock you out or who outweighs you by 100 pounds in a street fight. There are 2 safe distances, all the way out of their striking range or all the way in the clinch where their strikes have minimal effectiveness.
Yes, and this train is a tight space.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that this terrorist never imagined that he would have, 3 or 4 people that were willing to close the distance against him while he has an AK-47. He's imagining they're gonna all stay back and respect his space.
Yes.
But I'm pretty sure Spencer Stone,
yeah, he trained Jiu-Jitsu.
Alek, all these guys, they look at the situation and they say, wow, he's in a train. There's an aisle, there's chairs,
yes.
There's nowhere to go. This is to our advantage to overwhelm him, and they did just that.
Yes, so here's the bottom line. Confined space is a disadvantage for whomever is less comfortable with closeness. Again, confined space, a train car, is a disadvantage for whomever is less comfortable with closeness. Now, if the guy came out with the AK and all you had was a bunch of people who did not know Jiu-Jitsu or who did not take action, average civilians like the 28-year-old New York social worker who was there and after the fact said, I was gonna die. In my mind, I was gonna die. I have too much to live for, but I'm gonna die. This is the end of it. Goodbye. You know, a woman, I think Christine, who said this publicly after the fact. You know, these people who in the moment they were very uncomfortable with the closeness.
Yeah, you hear
he's right there.
Those 2 rounds went off in the beginning.
Boom, you just
2 gunshots. You
the
see an AK-47, your life is over.
It's the instinct is to retract. So, the confined space in a train full of people who would not take action and would not close the distance with these principles of distance management, but a confined space where they're going to stay back is to the disadvantage of those victims or potential targets in this situation because they can't run away to make distance. Right? So the train car is to their disadvantage. But in Spencer's case, and Alek's case, and Anthony and Chris Norman, who helped out as well, it was to their advantage, especially when Spencer said, man, I'm going to close the distance with this guy. He can't run. He has an AK, but that's only good if we stay back. If we rush him, it has no value. And they were right. And lives were saved because of it. You know? And the thing is this, what do you think the terrorist, when he came out with the AK, what is the number 1 thing he expected the energy to be in the
Everybody
room?
to be back.
Disperse and back up and cower.
Yeah. It might have even been better for him in his mind because at least he has like, one little walkway. He can control all the people.
Yeah, and
he never imagined the weapon jamming, and when it jammed, people were on him in a second. Like that window of time, the weapon jamming and him fixing that weapon.
Too long.
That's only, let's just say 7 seconds or 5 seconds, but it's more than enough time for the guys to charge him, and that's where it all changed. Now, I really think about like how when you're fighting somebody, whether it's in a street fight or a situation like this, you can only imagine this terrorist, he has an AK-47. He's fighting, he's hitting, he's trying to use his weapon. It gets taken from him. His fight is being taken out, all the life is being taken out of him, of the terrorist. And to where he's going to the handgun, he's going to the box cutter, the knife, he's doing all these weapons. And little by little, he's just losing and losing and losing. And at any moment, right, when Spencer had his neck and he had the rear naked choke, getting stabbed, it's very easy at any moment to abort.
Yeah.
And kind of separate whether you're cut or run away and kind of like, oh, he pulled out a handgun. Everybody back up.
Right.
Meaning that's more difficult to control a handgun. An AK-47 is a different story.
Yeah, because
I'd rather you have an AK-47 if you're a terrorist than to have a handgun and me grappling you.
If you're in an elevator with
and
me.
if it's me, it's grappling.
Yes.
So it's close range. So the point is, once he's got a handgun, move back. I can't control it. So it's easy to disengage. But you have to know that when you stay on it and you stay persistent, This terrorist is feeling overwhelmed, almost like he's drowning.
Yes.
Nothing is working out. He's using the blade.
Yes.
And when the blade came out, that's even the worst.
Oh, no. Yes.
That's the worst.
It's the most dangerous.
AK-47 will be the best. I'll give you an AK.
It's the one that caused the damage. It cut him, it cut his neck, cut Spencer's thumb, almost severed his thumb off completely.
Second, I'll give you a handgun. The last thing I want you to have is a knife before grappling. And then he had the knife, and even that, he got cut, and they made it work. They never stopped. And the point is that you have to know that before we would do fights and we would do matches, my dad would say, my grandfather would say, hey, when you think you're tired, he's more tired.
Yes.
So in a situation like this, I can only imagine when I think that I'm getting cut and I've almost got shot and I'm tired.
You want to get away?
This terrorist is more tired. They're more broken. Their will is going away faster than ours is.
Yes.
And this is just that. I just give so much credit to the guys that did not stop.
The persistence to say we're going to stay on him, even though things. He has other guns, other weapons. Like Spencer said, the weapons kept coming out from everywhere. They were just. He couldn't believe how they would just like keep coming out with weapons. And Spencer, in his after interview, he said, it was very clear that this man was willing to fight until the end. But so were we.
Yeah.
In other words, there's nothing this guy could have done that's going to make me stop trying. We're going to die fighting with this guy. And that persistence, you know, we'd like to think, and we firmly believe, as does our jiu-jitsu family around the world, that his training has to do with this. Because every single day we train here, we're put in these uncomfortable situations, and we're put in situations where we're exhausted, but there's an opponent, and we know they're exhausted too, and we have to overcome and prevail, even though we want to say, okay, I give up. No, you keep finding a way. You always persist, you always carry forward, and you have that warrior spirit. And jiu-jitsu reinforces that unlike anything else on a daily basis for those who engage in it. Number 3, lead the way. In times of uncertainty and chaos and unpredictability and fear, people need someone to lead them into action. Straight up. And not everyone has the inborn leadership, skills, qualities, convictions, and confidence, but those who do have a responsibility, not just an opportunity, a responsibility to take action. Because only with them spearheading the movement can other people also jump on board and ultimately make a difference that saves hundreds of lives potentially, as in this situation in Europe.
And there are many leaders today, right? Not today, but in this day, there were many leaders. The man who encountered the terrorist outside of the bathroom, boom, in a sense, he was a leader.
Drew attention to it, yes.
Yeah,
he bumped into the guy.
Something. And that makes you a leader. And the fact that Alek is saying, hey, wake up, let's go.
Boom.
He's also a leader. Boom. You're a leader because you
Spencer,
went first.
Yes, and in all the Spencer said the guy had a gun in his hand, and Spencer ran straight at him and jumped on him. And then all the people who were there, the other men who also engaged, saying, "Oh man, Spencer's the one who deserves the credit. Man, he went in there, he jumped on him first. He did." And I can see how they can feel that way, and we feel like he deserves all the credit that's given to him. However,
person number 2, person number 3, person number 4, they also deserve credit.
Huge deal.
Here's what it is. I just know if I was running down towards somebody who had an AK-47, jammed or not, the moment I start to fight them, there's nothing that I'm hoping for more or I would appreciate more than somebody else right behind me, because I know that 2-on-1 is obviously much better odds than 1-on-1, especially when there's weapons, knives, handguns, AK-47s.
Another thing,
So the second person, you know, is very much a leader. And once Alek came, then person number 3, person number 4, then now they showed up, and then before you know it, it's just too much.
Well, he don't mention before this an idea that the second the second person is the first follower. Okay? 1-on-1, a fight takes place, you just kind of, okay, good luck, let's see what happens. The second person who engages validates the actions of the first person and gives permission to all subsequent followers to engage. This is a huge deal. In other words, he's the leader of the followers.
Yes.
So it's huge. And then the third person reinforces those two. But the point is, the first person almost doesn't choose to engage, if that makes sense. They just engage because they have that leadership spirit, and they were born their whole life they grew up, and their whole totality, be it jiu-jitsu training, be it the rest of your military and law enforcement, whatever it is, your upbringing caused you to have no choice but to run straight at the AK down the aisle. That's amazing. And it's a testament to his upbringing, if that makes sense. The other people who did not take action initially, but waited, had to consciously overcome their initial, I'm not gonna do anything, state. And that's why it's so impressive to us for the second, third, and fourth person to step in and do something, because it wasn't instinctive for them, because more often than not, if it was, they would have done something first.
Now, we don't know if person 2, 3, and 4 are those type of people
right.
on this train that they would not do anything
unless
they had number 1.
Right.
We don't know. They could have all been person number 1. Leader types. So we don't know. But we do know this, that some people are the ones that go first.
They don't have a choice. They just do it.
Some are the ones that need someone to go first, and then they're right there right after. And some are the people that will never do anything.
Yes.
That will just turn and run towards the back bathroom.
Yes.
So we need all of them.
Yes. They all exist.
It could almost be bad if every single person ran forward. It could be too much.
Right.
So you need to have people who will lead, people who will follow the leader, and people who will stay back and trust that it's handled.
Yeah, they all have roles. You're absolutely right. And the thing is this, the followers have nowhere to go if there's not someone in the room who doesn't think, just goes, right? And then the second, third, or the third, fourth, fifth, through however many followers after that will not follow if there's not one person who validates that the first person isn't crazy and that their actions are followable, and let's go with this guy, 100%.
Yeah, and you never really know who you are.
Right.
You don't know which role you fall under. I have an idea as to who I am.
Me too.
Now, and I have an idea because I'm somebody who, when I go on a train, believe it or not, or when I'm in an airport or on an airplane or everywhere I am, I'm always thinking, man, what could that person do? What could happen here? Look over here. There's all these people over here. There's only one exit right there. I'm always thinking about the what ifs.
Right.
And that comes from the what ifs that I think about on the mat.
Yes.
So I can't help but think what if.
Right,
Even when I'm laying in bed and my wife's foot is touching my foot, I'm like, what does that foot mean? Like, why is that touching me? I'm overthinking everything all the time.
Could be a sweep. Could be a
be a
half guard.
sweep.
All right.
Could be nothing.
What's the moral of the story? If there's anything you can do to elevate your capabilities of engaging in the moment of chaos, leading the way, managing the distance, failure to negotiate, and just take action if your instinct calls for it. If there's anything that can prepare you for that, if there's any common variable, it's your comfort level with chaos. Straight up. Your comfort with chaos. When chaos ensues, you're either gonna, or you're gonna move forward.
Fight or flight.
Fight or flight. And your ability and your choice and your instinctive response to fight, in our opinion, is more heavily contingent on one thing than anything else, which is your comfort in chaos, which is based on your comfort in a fight. So for us, it's no surprise at all that the person who everyone is kind of crediting towards engaging the terrorists, selflessly engaging the terrorists initially, the first person to take that action, is a jiu-jitsu practitioner. It's not, to us, it's not a coincidence, if that makes sense. It's like, oh,
well, and on top of that, being military.
Also.
Because even if he was only military, that's why I say all three of those guys that were military, all three of them have the leadership in them. They're all in the military.
Right.
So that alone, if he's not military, what is it? Is it jiu-jitsu? Okay.
I'm not military, you're not military, but we know that for us, our ability and our eagerness and our willingness to engage is 100% contingent on our comfort in discomfort in worst case scenarios.
And we're saying jiu-jitsu because Spencer was a jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Right.
But all martial arts in general, the people who are fighters and who prepare for combat, who do martial arts as an art of self-defense and fighting, you know, you're the ones.
Yeah, you are the ones. And it's crazy because it's times like these that we wish our grandfather was still with us so that he could see, you know, the result. Just to be able to tell him, hey, grandfather, there was a guy who came out with an AK. He knew what an AK was. He loved guns, of course. There was a guy with an AK on a train in Europe, and he was going to kill hundreds of people. And then there was a jiu-jitsu guy on there and his friends, and they all tackled this guy, and he choked him. Okay, and this guy trains at an affiliate of our uncle's in Portugal. And he learns jiu-jitsu, and this is amazing. Just so that he could see how far it's gone. Because at the end of, you know, gold medals and championship belts for him had value, but it was just the beginning of it. For him, it mattered more, the life application of these skills. And to even think that hundreds of lives were saved by a technique from an art that he helped, you know, perfect and popularize and share with the world, it's I think that would be the most gratifying kind of victory and sensation for him.
Yes.
Cool. You guys, as we all know, Spencer trains jiu-jitsu in Portugal, and as far as we know, his friends don't, and nor does Chris Norman, the British man, who helped step in as well. but we'd like to make an offer and an invitation. So proud for their actions that we'd like to invite Spencer and all of the other 3 gentlemen who were involved in the incident, that they can train at the Gracie Academy for free for the rest of their lives, their family. We'd love to meet you guys. We'd love to have you out here. We'd love to share details and learn more about the incident than what we've gathered so far. And come to the Gracie Academy anytime you want, on vacation or otherwise. We'll take care of you guys. And that includes any certified training center around the world. Show up, let them know we sent you, and you guys are taken care of for life.
And for everybody else out there in the world, look for a Gracie Academy, look for a certified training center, go to gracieuniversity.com, do something, or any jiu-jitsu school in the world, just find a school and start the journey and just see how much jiu-jitsu can have a positive impact on your life and how you see problems. And you know what I feel like? I feel like jiu-jitsu is something where you do like 3 or 4 classes and you already feel like, you know what? I can handle that person.
Yes.
So imagine 2 years.
Yeah.
A terrorist on a train with the AK-47 is not, that makes sense. That's the right amount of growth, meaning in your belief of yourself. If after 4 days you can handle that guy right there, the gas station attendant, you can handle a terrorist in the train, at least in your mind, after 2 years.
Unbelievable, you guys. And for those of you out there who train jiu-jitsu, you know, are enthusiastic and train and, you know, train your entire, and just spend all your free time and energy learning and growing this stuff. And people around you always question you, right? They're like, hey, why do you train so much? Why are you doing this? What for? Why? And it's always, tell them this. And for you guys to know now, and this is a great example of it, it's not about you, okay? It starts with you. It starts with you getting out of a headlock or you dealing with the situation. But we are more proud of our jiu-jitsu for what we can do for other people than for what we can do for ourselves.
Even if that's something so small as me being more confident, therefore more positive and just more respectful and just a nicer person for the world.
Yes.
That's the small spectrum. Now on the larger spectrum, it's saving people's lives.
Yes. So it doesn't matter if it's, you know, a bully on a playground who's bullying another kid, and we give another child who is a bystander a skill set and a conviction and a confidence and an assertiveness to be able to intervene and essentially neutralize that bullying situation, lead the way, manage the distance, defend themselves if they have to, but ultimately save another kid from a bully. That for us is a much greater use and application of jiu-jitsu than any UFC fight will ever be. All the way to a terrorist, you know, attack on a train car in Europe where, like I said, hundreds of lives are saved. So jiu-jitsu is not about you. It starts with you, but ultimately it just makes you a better you, a more capable you, a more willing to engage and lead the way you, manage the distance, manage the damage, and don't negotiate with terrorists. Ultimately, train jiu-jitsu, get started for yourself, but know that the end result of this journey is much bigger than any one of us. And we couldn't be happier with the outcome of this incident, and to know that jiu-jitsu had a very small part in making it possible. So for those of you out there who are training, keep up the good work. For those who aren't, find a school, embark on the journey, and you know, maybe it'll be on you one day to save lives, and your jiu-jitsu training will allow you the instinctive response without hesitation.
It'll give you the little push
just
that
a little.
you might need.
Yes. You guys, leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of the incident, and let us know what the most valuable lesson you guys gathered from a situation like this. We shared our most 3 valuable lessons. If you agree, let us know. If not, if there was something else you learned from this, we'd love to hear. We're always trying to grow. It's a never-ending journey. Much respect. Thanks for joining us.